Okay. Talk. Let me mix this up. All right. Okay.
Botrix said Botrix has correctly joined the channel.
Okay, let's see what we can do. Let's do some warm-ups and stuff. That'll be... $35. Fully rendered. Wow, these are super low prices, bro. That's too low. Oh, wait. I'm stupid. I'm on the wrong one. My bad. I said the wrong thing. So it's 115 plus...
Hunter Noob said hi beaming face with smiling eyes emoji.
Hello, hold on. Fully rendered 55.
Ravi Ikema said hi.
Plus transparent. We want... What should we want?
Ravi Ikema said how is your day?
Pretty good. Just doing something real quick. What is your payment method that you're going to be using? Okay. Alright, so let's get down to it. Let's do some warm-ups, and I'll do like one animatic if possible, and then we'll do some reactions. And then if we have time, we will
Hunter Noob
play
said mine was normal.
Marvel Rivals today, because I was invited by TikTok to play said game for their event thing going on. Okay. PayPal. Okay, so if that's PayPal, hold on. I try to avoid using PayPal, but where's the PayPal thing I have? Calculator. Where is it? Hold on. Oh, there it is. Found it.
Ravi Ikema said what's your favorite food?
Is this new? I'm really basic. It's pretty much pizza. Anything pizza based.
Hunter Noob said sushi bento box emoji face savoring food emoji.
5. Fees taken out. QR code transaction. And it will be one. If you're using One. Regular person. Fee. Infrastructure plus. To receive only for.
Hunter Noob asks, what is your fav game? Mike has said hi.
Hold on. Okay. As soon as I start the stream too. Okay. What was the favorite game? I don't really have a favorite game anymore, to be honest. I don't know. Things are just so different now. Growing up throughout the years, playing video games. I don't know. That's a hard question for me sometimes when people ask that question. Okay, let's get into it. But I do like a lot of games, but right now I kind of just mess with Marvel Rivals right now. Okay. Oh, I'm using that. Okay, so what I'm gonna do some quick warm-ups.
Ravi Ikema said, what's your favorite season of the year?
I'll say probably summer. Maybe. It used to be winter, but winter's been kind of getting on my nerves, so. Okay, like this.
Hunter Noob said, is Roblox Rivals good for PC players like me? Crying face emoji.
Oh, I don't play Roblox. That's for children for me. Kind of look like children game. I just don't take Roblox all that seriously.
Pace Johnson said, hi Art.
Hello. Hello.
Pace Johnson said, do you play Fortnite then?
No, I don't play Fortnite. I haven't played it in a while. I think I stopped playing it like 2-3 years ago. No, lie. That was back in 2020.
Gambling is the ticket of life, said whoa.
So.
Gambling is the ticket of life, said, I had no idea UFO live. Gambling is the ticket of life, said, I found her account like 3 days ago. Pace Johnson asks, so what the hell you play?
We're gonna be playing Marvel Rivals today because I got invited by TikTok to do some type of event thing. We might get to play today. If not, then definitely tomorrow. We're supposed to do some reactions today. It's on the summertime.
Milovic said what up?
What up, what up, what's up?
Pace Johnson said what do you watch?
Anything, movies, anime, nothing in particular.
Mike Kaz said Pace sorry about that Nightbot doesn't like people using all caps. Legacy asks what are we drawing?
I'm doing warm-ups and then I might do an animatic, and then when I'm done with the animatic I'm gonna do reactions. We're gonna do anime or manga reactions, like recommendations, and then maybe art recommendations. I don't think we're gonna get that in because I'm not totally sure if we're gonna get that in. I'm gonna see though. Nice.
Pace Johnson said what type of anime?
Anything that usually I don't like have a type that I'm into. If it's good, it's good. If it's not, it's not.
Milovic said nah bro you're so silent I have to turn up my volume to almost max skull emoji.
Sorry about that. Who's saying that? It's on. Oh, hold on. I think. Wait, where are you talking from? Oh, on YouTube. Okay. Okay, let me see.
Mike Cass said oh and there is a slight delay in the stream for YouTube so please be patient when waiting for an answer and thank you all for understanding.
Yeah, usually there's a slight delay. We're trying to fix that, but we gotta do some stream. We gotta do some stream. We call it testing later, but can't do that now.
Pace Johnson said is it Jujutsu Kaisen?
It's all right. It's not that. It's a right show. It's not. It's good. It's not bad. Kind of want to see Gacha Kuda. That's what I want to see. Okay, like that.
Mike Kaz asks can't hear the text to speech could you up it a tad?
Boom, boom. Okay. I think that's there. Let me see TikTok. Oh, I forgot. Okay, that's connected to that. Okay, save. What are you drawing? I am doing some what do you call it? Warm-ups real quick. Get the whole mind flowing.
What are you drawing? 3.
We're doing sketches real quick. What was I doing? Okay, it was the Caster Labs. That was it. Okay.
Milovic said nah it's 2307 so I'm a diplate.
Okay, do your thing, bro. I think it's because. Okay, headphones. There's nothing in there. Alright, just make sure that's in there. Alright.
Code.casterlabs.caffeinated.app.viewer.event_viewer.txt.rich_message.attachment.
Jolly Enter says this music is funky.
Jolly Enter 35 said this music is funky. Pace Johnson said do you like Sonic?
Sonic's alright.
Hunter Noob said why is everyone got better draws than me loudly crying face emoji. Nogi Saisaro asks Dayum what are you drawing boy?
I'm doing sketches right now. Doing warm-ups.
Mike Kaz said NVM though that was 1307. Norgi Saisiro said okay.
Let's see here. Oh, let's see. All night. Okay. On the moon. Actually, you know what? Hold on. There we go. Move that out of the way real quick. Oh, there we go. Okay. That's one. Put that right here. Happens of summertime. Okay, let me see. Where are we going from here? Right here, yeah. And then. Oh, wait, I messed up on the. Okay, hold on. Okay, with the head here, it's two. I messed up on the head placement. There we go. Okay. Okay. Oops. Made that arm way too extended. Okay, that's that. Oh, nine. Happy tears for you. Okay. Okay, like that, with the head here. And then I make the head.
Hunter Noob said that. Dancing on the moon. Dancing on the moon. Kofi Streambot said visit Artextric's Kofi page at Monkey DM92 said, oh snap. This is absolutely amazing, smiling face with heart eyes emoji.
I wouldn't say that. I'm just doing drafting. I'm just doing sketch drafting. I wouldn't say anything great about it, to be honest.
Burst Tiberzook has just followed.
Thank you for the follow.
Flynn
Appreciate it.
Bassens asks, hello everyone. What are we reacting to today?
Typical stuff.
Mike has said hi Flynn. Hunter
I
Noob
think-
said drawing.
I think we're just gonna react to
Silver Comet said hello art.
hello. We're just gonna react to like what do you call it? Manga recommendations, and that's it.
Silver Comet said, how are you today?
I'm doing well. Just trying to do some quick draft and stuff, and then
Mike has said hi Silver and Hunter.
do some quick
Brightro
animatic-
Glows says good afternoon everyone.
Hello, Bri. What's going on, bro?
Silver Comet said, oh manga, I got 1 gem. Hunter Noob said, hi Mike, beaming face with smiling eyes emoji. Silver Comet said then. Monkey DM92 said, I also forgot to DM you last week, you asked me to do so and I forgot to.
Well, oh, are you the one who asked for a traditional artwork or something? I know someone did, but I don't know who it was. I think they wanted it mailed to their house.
Silver Comet said Centuria. Definitely has Berserk vibes.
Oh. Berserk.
Silver Comet said the first chapter had chaos.
Chaos.
Mike has said hi Bri.
Hello, hello.
Flynn Vassens said chaos insurgency. Flynn Vassens said SCP thing. Silver Comet said, oh god, there's a lot of dark themes on the first page.
Brightro Glows says hi Mike.
Silver Comet said it handles magic in a dark aspect, which I like.
And I'm guessing when you mean dark aspect, that means there's something you have to give. Like a give and take type thing. I'm guessing. Because magic always comes with a price, I believe that's what they say. Or some shit like that.
Silver Comet said there was also another as well. Can't remember the name off of the type of my head. Silver Comet said bingo.
There we go. How a feeling.
Silver Comet said equivalent exchange.
Ah, there you go. Just like Full Metal. To a degree. Okay, find the price down here. Okay, like that. There we go. And then
Monkey DM92 said I'm trying to gift you the top one, but I can't find it.
that's one that says DJ Cat or something. Or Play Hard. It's what do you call it? It's called Work Hard, Play Hard. Is that the one? Just make sure I'm looking at the right one. Oh no, it's called the Full Buy. Full Buy is the one with the gift box. My bad. It's called Gift Box. I'm thinking of the old one. If you can't find it, I can just give you the old one. Okay. If you still can't find it, I can just give you the old. I'll just give you the old one. Fuck it. I'm pretty sure it's still there. Hold on. If you're having a hard time finding it. That's the old one if you want to use that one instead. Okay. Standing in the rain all night. Traveling tears for you. From the rushes of summertime. Okay. On the moonlight.
Hunter Noob said I think I'll go sleep. By grinning face with big eyes emoji.
Do your thing, Hunt. Thank you for coming and appreciate it. Have a good night.
Silver Comet said night noob.
Okay. Okay, put hands about here. I want it. I want it. Dun, dun, dun. Boom, boom, boom. Start over. I don't know what the hell. Okay.
Brightro says teach you're muted.
Am I? Am I muted? Am my avatar's moving its mouth too much? I need to configure this thing. No? Am I muted? Hold on. Am I muted? Oh, I've been muted the entire time. Oh my god. That's crazy. Hold on. Am I muted still? Yeah, now I'm still there.
Comet said, "Nah, I hear you."
No, that's on YouTube. I even on TikTok. I was like, I thought you meant on YouTube. And I was muted the entire time. My bad. Sometimes you gotta pay attention.
Art.matrix_101 said the old switch it up. Silver Comet said now continue I while I eat.
Stop. Rapid for this.
Silver Comet said okay.
Rapid. Yes.
Silver Comet said also looks great.
It looks alright, but the walking doesn't look right. So I need to make it look right. Gotta make sure I'm doing it right.
Silver Comet said I see.
There we go. Okay, we need to put more emphasis on the hips here. Okay, rest is about here. I'm looking from a down up angle. Like that. That. Go like this. Yeah. Yeah, or some 3D form. Okay, put the hand about here. Hand about there. The hand about here. Okay. Okay, the placement of the feet are not on the same level. Clean up here. now bring down the hip here. It's too high. So this hip is supposed to be up here as this one goes down. So there we go. The hip's going upward. So like the body's going this way. If you see closely here in the gesture, as you curve like this, you see how the breasts and the shoulders going this way, shoulder going this way and down. And as the hip goes up, this gives it a more dynamic look. So it kind of like, and then what's funny about this, when this happens, there's a horizon line. Oops. That's one way you can figure that out with a dynamic pose, one way or another.
Silver Comet said yes, oh I see it.
Yeah, and then right there as it crosshairs, our horizon line is here, which is correct because I can't see the top of the X here. I can barely see the top of the breast here. But everything else from this point on, I can see a top of down here, most of over here. I can't see the top of the shoulder. So because the character is over this half of the character is over the horizon line, where it meets within the dynamic pose, therefore it is accurate based on what we're trying to do. Now it doesn't mean it's anatomically correct. Anatomically correct. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the gesture in itself is correct based on the horizon line that we just built on, just on that alone. So that tells me that I'm doing it the right way because to a degree where I know where the horizon line ends and begins based on my perspective. Okay. There we go.
Kofi Streambot said visit Artextric's Kofi page at Rick's official said be a support hero today by using commands like support.
Reasons why I. No. Ignore home to everything. Everything. Okay. Alright, I make some dynamic poses sometimes, Alright, I think I did enough with that. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to, I guess, do the animatic. Now, this is going to be interesting because it's going to be really, really short, like all of them. This one will be about repo. I was supposed to put like several repo animatics, but I never got to because of the camera. My computer.
Comet said, I see. Yeah, they look alright.
Yeah, they look alright. If I put in more shadows and stuff, that would look nice. Actually, no, I think of it now. Hold on. I'll do this real quick. This shouldn't take long.
Silver Comet said, oh, you're making animatics.
Yeah, I'll make it in a second. Let me just do this quick shading.
Silver Comet said, nice.
Like this. Like that. Hmm.
Silver Comet said, does it act as shading?
Uh, yeah, it's pretty much the shading what gives it life, mostly. But I have to make sense of the shading itself.
code.castlabs.caffeinated.app.docs.chat.viewer.event
Thank you,
underscore
Rick. I
format dot
appreciate it.
tts dot rich underscore message dot attachment.
Drippy
Collision
Rick says
emoji. Crash
WSP
out
Jace
underscore
nice
it said
drawing.
WSP
Thank
Jace
you.
nice drawing.
I appreciate it, bro. Hope you're doing well. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Silver Comet said, oh, did you ever share Shrekminator art you made?
Yeah, that came out that came out months ago. Yeah, that came out months ago. Flames. When the bottom's off. Yeah, that came out months ago.
Silver Comet said, yeah, I remember it. Checked on Google for it, but it didn't come up.
Why Google? Just check on YouTube. It's on YouTube and TikTok. Well, I know Google owns YouTube, but like that's a weird place to go. I just go to YouTube or Twitter. Can I try on Twitter? I think I did. Mountain flame.
Silver Comet said, I see.
Yep. It's all there. Shrek Minetta. One of the most weirdest creations I've ever made.
Silver Comet said, yeah, I got a Twitter account. I only have it to save artwork.
Oh, I got you. I got you, bro. Okay. Okay, there we go. Oh, and this one.
Silver Comet said the weirdest thing that ever popped into my head was Quagmire as Batman and Chris as his Robin.
I don't know how I feel with that one. I don't know how I feel with that one. I'm trying to think of it now. Has those two ever like interacted with one another? I don't think I've ever seen Chris and Quagmire interact once. I think
Silver Comet said and Herbert as the Joker.
that would be funny. Now we'll do.
Silver Comet said yes, they have.
Okay. So maybe I'm not being paying attention then.
Raccoon just followed.
Hey Raccoon, what's going on? I could talk too much. Okay. Not bad.
K-Peak said you're so good.
Thank you. Not bad, but it could be better. But we're not using any. Maybe we should add some ambient occlusion just to see how that looks. Thank you, though.
Silver Comet said okay, just found a great animation for Ben 10 on Twitter.
Oh, you saw that thing when he's on the rooftop and he turns into that beast thing? I forgot what he's called. It kind of loops. Have you seen it? I forgot what it's called. It's like the line looking.
K-Peaks asks how long did it take to get to this level?
That's subjective. I usually tell my students that asking someone how long it took you to get there is pointless because I always tell them art is subjective and
Wild
Mutt, there you go. A lot of people.
Silver Comet said yeah, seeing it now, it's cool.
Yeah, it loops. I saw the other day. I was like, that's pretty cool. So what a lot of people tend to do wrong is that they try to compare how long it took one person compared to themselves. So they'll think, oh, it took me 6 years, so that's the initial average it should take me, right? No, because your understanding of certain subtext might be faster than how I took it. So what takes me 6 years might take you 6 months. What took me 6 days to get to understand a concept might take you 6 weeks. So everyone's different in different areas. So like, you might be really good at say like line art, right? But you really suck at color theory. So you caught on to line art within less than a month. But when it comes to color theory, you just can't get it because it took you about a year to get it. When it took someone like a couple of days to a month to figure out color to a degree, and I wouldn't say a professional manner, but in a very high advanced manner. Within like a month or two, probably 6 months, compared to took you like 6 years. So whenever people ask me this question, it's a pointless question because everyone's different. That's like me asking how long did it take you to get used to living in a certain country. Some people take 6 months, some people take 6 years, some people take 6 days. It's more of timing than anything. Stuck in my head. But to answer your question, I've been drawing since 6. I am 30 now as a character designer, teacher, and content creator. And freelancer. Stuck in my head. Oh. If I hear this song, I feel like it sounds like a song I heard before from another song. Oh, pretty good. Alright. Okay, that's enough coloring for theory. So what we did is we put in... Okay, so we have our initial sketches, not line art, but sketches. And I put it in here, and then I put a layer over it. And then I take I color the shade, the sketch like this. And then I clip it into the shade into the sketches, whether it be a multiply. I use linear burn. I learned this from Rhino Tuna. It makes the line art stand out more than on normal. Normal kind of just blends in. This was the initial color that you guys was looking at the entire time. That was the initial color. But now I put on a linear burn. It's easier to see the lines and the colors pop. Okay, now let's do the animatic.
Drawing with Zaina said hi.
Hello.
Drawing with Zaina said I like GIF. Drawing with Zaina said it.
GIF? Okay, like that.
Silver Comet said okay, good thing I went on Twitter today, saw some great MHA art.
Nice, nice. MHA art. Which is funny because yesterday we did...
Drawing with Zaina said I like it.
Like, we did that yesterday. We did some drawing of, Sue from My Hero. How can I make this look more epic? Okay, maybe I would do it like this. Like that. Tree like this.
Silver Comet said oh yeah. Might have left before that happened.
Yeah, we did it yesterday as a...
Silver Comet said nice to hear that though.
Yes, yes. It is traditional art. It was fun. It's kind of like on the spur of a moment type thing, but it came out okay. Not perfect because it had its problems, but you can tell it's Sue. At least. Hold on. Okay. Okay, so how can I make this work? Okay. Invincible. Okay. Wait, is that how the eyes? Okay.
Kofi Streambot said visit Artextric's Kofi page at.
Okay, like that. Okay, I'm gonna stop the music, and we're going to just jump into doing the whatchamacallit, the reactions. So I want to kill two birds with one stone because we gotta get around to Marvel Rivals because of the invite. Okay, so we're gonna start with, I think lines in motion. We actually have done. Okay, let me just get it. Hello everyone, my name is Artextric, and today we're going to be doing reactions. We're going to anime recommendations. We might shoehorn in some art stuff, but I'm not totally sure reactions wise. But I'm not totally sure. So we're just gonna do the manga stuff because we only got two.
Silver Comet said I hear no music, should I be worried?
You hear no music. Let me see. Because the music was on the entire time. Hold on. Okay, that's on. Let me see something. Just to make sure. Obviously it wasn't on. That's why it was so quiet for you guys. There we go. You should be able to hear it now, right? Tell me if you can hear it.
Silver Comet said I do.
Okay, cool. Alright.
Brightro Close says here what?
Okay, you're on TikTok, so
Silver
let me
Comet
see.
said Mount Goodness, that's awful.
See. You don't hear the music, Bri?
Brightro Close said yes.
Brightro Close says
The
yes.
drawing is adorable.
Okay.
Zayna just followed.
Okay, cool. Alright, I'm gonna stop the music since you guys can hear it. Hopefully you guys can hear... Wait, let me see if you guys can hear lines. Okay, you can hear that.
It's been over a year and a half.
Just to be clear, you guys can see the visuals and also... you guys can see the visuals and also hear it, right? Just I paused it, so it's not running right now, but right? Just to make sure, so everyone can see it. I want to make sure everyone can see it. So there's no problem after I edit these out.
Brightro Close says just sound.
Just sound, okay. Let me see. So you don't see the visuals on the screen? Oh wait, yeah, you don't see it. No one. I got rid of the thing.
Silver Comet said yes.
It's been over a year and a half since my last manga recommendation video, and since you guys love them and I love creating and compiling them, it only feels natural to continue to the third chapter of this manga rec series. If you haven't watched the previous two, I'll put a link in the description for you to watch and catch up. But for now, here are 7 manga I thoroughly enjoyed and think you should check out too. Starting with the biggest surprise of the bunch, Lost Lad London immediately caught my attention from the volume cover alone. It's one of the few manga I can recall to have a black protagonist and East Asian.
Okay, let's go. So let me start this over. So I have to do the introduction for every video, so it'll be a YouTube video. So hello everyone, my name is Artextric. Today we're going to be doing anime recommendation, reactions, giving our opinions or whatever the case may be, whether through the chat or myself. I will have to pause every time I give my opinion because YouTube doesn't like it when you just have their content just running without any form of, like, I guess, fair use and usage of making content based on my opinion. So stopping it and pausing it is the reason why I do that. I would just let it run, but because that's not viable, you can't do that. So that's why this is a reaction. We have to pause it, give our opinion, whether it's something that was stated or what the case may be. So that's what that is. Okay. So this is from Lines of Motion. I actually have done videos on her before. I think she did the Danmachi anime or manga way back before it became the anime. It was that Dungeons and Delicious. That was it. I think it's called Danmachi, but I could be wrong. But it's called Dungeons and Delicious. For those who've seen it, it's on Netflix. It's pretty good. It's fun to watch if you're a fantasy type person and all that stuff. If you like fantasy, elves, dwarves, orcs, if you ever played D&D, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, so this is Lines of Motion. They are a anime recommendator, and I think also analysts based on anime and shows they like and movies and all that great stuff based on anime specific stuff. So we're gonna listen to Lines of Motions and see what recommendation that she has.
Said Delicious in Dungeon.
Delicious in Dungeon. There we go. And then we're going to see what they say, and let's jump through it. All right.
It's been over a year and a half since my last manga recommendation video, and since you guys love them and I love creating and compiling them, it only feels natural to continue to the third chapter of this manga rec series. If you haven't watched the previous two, I'll put a link in the description for you to watch and catch up. But for now, here are 7 manga I thoroughly enjoyed and think you should check out too. Starting with the biggest surprise of the bunch, Lost Lad London immediately caught my attention from the volume cover alone. It's one of the few manga I can recall to have a black protagonist and East Asian protagonist up front and centre sharing the spotlight. Despite the designs being compelling,
now that's definitely different. Never heard of that one before.
Simple, all things considered, it's refreshing to see differing racial representation within a space that lacks such, or often generates insulting caricature visuals instead. Taking place within the busy, tourist-ridden capital city of the United Kingdom, mangaka Shima Shinya took the opportunity to showcase the authentic reality of London, recognised as one of the most diverse cities in the world. And, funnily enough, as a Brit,
I'm sorry, I don't know why people say stuff like this, because there's a bunch of anime characters that happen to be black that a lot of black people tend to like. From Hunter x Hunter, Black Lagoon, I guess you could say Dragon Ball to the degree. What do you call it? Soul Eater. Wait, what's the other one? Soul Eater, Fire Force. What else? Oh my god. It's one at the moment I have a blank in my head. Naruto and My Hero.
Exactly.
So I don't know why they say stuff like this.
says Bleach.
And Bleach. I don't know why they say things like this. It's kind of weird.
Lost London felt very reminiscent of the higher quality BBC or ITV drama
What she's talking about.
Yeah.
mystery shows that become so successful here. Sitting as a
Baki. And yes, I know she used that one character from wait, what is it called? Never Wonderland, something Wonderland, forgot. Never Wonderland, I think it's called. That character is supposed to be menacing for the reason.
Silver Comet said plus monsters we make.
That too.
Bright Close says Promise
Promise
Neverland.
Neverland, sorry, my bad. But like, the reason why that character is like that is because she was supposed to be menacing anyway. So I don't see the point why they should be like, they have to be like good looking and then evil. Don't really get that, but
Silver Comet said Attack on Titan.
Attack on Titan, there you go.
concise story of 3 volumes, Shinya starts and concludes a gripping detective story that follows the murder of the Mayor of London, and to make matters worse, innocent university student
And no, Mr. Popo isn't black. Can we stop doing this? He's a genie. He's not black. He's not. If anything, he's Indian. What the hell?
Al is somehow possessing the murder weapon in his jacket pocket. Lost Lad London spares no time in throwing you within the thrilling tale of a whodunit scenario. A propulsive read keeping you on the edge of your seat as Al and soon-to-be companion Detective Inspector Lenny Ellis try to unravel the puzzle in who the murderer is and what he wants with Al. In many ways, this manga doesn't actually feel like a manga at times.
Silver Comet said
It's
exactly why I didn't mention him.
Just like, it's crazy. Like, he's not black. I don't know why people like to do that. It's insane.
Difficult to articulate, but between how the writing conveys a dramatic mood comparable to Hollywood dramas, and the very abstract limited backgrounds comparable to European comics,
Right?
Shinya has a unique touch in storytelling I haven't quite read in a manga before. Between their accurate portrayal of dry humour, the sneaky mentions of supermarkets us Brits will recognise, and of course the familiarity in architecture, Shinya is either a local themselves or put tremendous amounts of research into this manga, with some minute detailing even taking me back. Al and Ellis are intriguing characters in their own right. Al is a
Because think about it, the Asians actually put work in whatever they do. Asian people tend to, I'm not saying no other race does this, but in particular in this particular form, in medium, whether it be manga and video games, Asians are very good at their research. They do better than us in our Western stuff anyway. Like, look at Marvel Rivals.
_GT said hello.
It makes total sense, right? I don't know if the mangaka or the author, if they're both the same person, is writing this based on their perspective of living in the UK, or like she said, they have extensive research that she, as a native there, is drawn back by what is placed in this manga. Tells you. tells you that they put either enough research or they're native and they take note of the surroundings and tries to implement it into their comic and or manga or their storytelling. So there you go.
Very straightforward guy.
Hello.
He's a hardworking student putting in the efforts for both his studies and financial situation, given he's a student living in a costly city. Perhaps blunt at times, his mannerisms do feel like that of an early 20s student. Finding out his milk had been taken by a flatmate, bantering with Ellis, and not being a morning person. Ellis, however, is more than your archetypal detective, displaying an actual sense of care whilst being a realistic and practical-minded person that understands, no doubt from personal experiences, the racial profiling Al would face being a South Asian suspect for a murder that is globally looked into. His relationship with Yuki in the office is one I'd have loved to see more of too, having each other's backs in regards to the case, but also to the struggles they face as people of colour in a white-dominated space. With racial bias against Al and Ellis's side, on top of a culprit trying to frame Al, the pair find themselves scrambling together the ties that connect everything together. I appreciate its concise shortness in not dragging out the story for the sake of it, and instead concluding with a stellar ending that encapsulates the emotive intensity as is displayed throughout the series. It makes me super excited to check out Shinya's other mystery series Glitch, that's also officially licensed with its first volume out now. If you're a fan of crime drama, mysteries, or just in the mood for something a little different within the manga space, Lost Lad London is an impressive short read. The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity by Sakamikami is one of the longest manga on this list. With currently 9 volumes to its name, annoyingly only digitally available at the moment, though its physical release does start next year, this manga upholds a joy within the simplicity of school romance. Such as many school romances like Skip and Loafer or Insomniacs After School, it's more a dive into character exploration than a deep narrative plot. Perhaps surrounding these social differences of both protagonists in a less than unique way, Fragrant Flower instead surprises me in the prose of understanding the frustration of miscommunication or lack thereof, especially in a school setting where that's often excused with adolescent mindfulness. Rintaro Sumugi is a laid
Was it what? What are they leaving for milk?
back guy whose aloof appearance is often confused with delinquency,
I wouldn't put it.
and
I
yet
would
his heart
there's
is more
something that
weighted than the
exists like
hollow
that.
echoes his archetype tries to achieve. Rather, Rintaro is consciously caring in his decisions, and attentive towards how his actions may be perceived, in particular to Kaorako Wagari, his counterpart in this story. Whilst Rintaro attends a boys-only public school full of morons, Kaorako attends a infamously private girls-only academy recognised for its honourable students. The premise is an opposing dynamic in the making, but it's the shared gentleness of both Rintaro and Kaorako that binds their stories together in a sweet romance, sufficient in charm and warmth. If you watched my Skip and Loafer video, you'll know romance is a genre I'm very nitpicky with, so I was pleasantly shocked at the speed at which I was smitten with their dynamic. Rintaro in particular is a shining example of what you'd call a gentleman, like not being expectant of Kaorako, understanding her boundaries and what personal time she may want to keep for herself, to little gestures like walking her to the station, or even being mindful of his presence of those around him.
I don't know. When men do things like this, they're called simp.
He's an incredibly considerate character and balances the adorable assertiveness of Kaorako, whose personality in this relationship is the more assured of the two, making for very genuine conversations and scenes. Often Kaorako's type of character would oppose these characteristics, normally reserved for the quiet type swept off her feet by a handsome bad boy. Alternatively, Fragrant Flower delivers a more compelling draw through showcasing the insecurities and self-blame Rintaro suffers instead, and how the acceptance of others, however slight, can slowly change that. This trait isn't there to diminish Kaorako's character, instead offering a more open conversation towards communication. Rintaro often blames himself with faults and mistakes, thinks of the worst circumstances possible due to his actions, and puts others before himself a little too quickly and repetitively. Not to the point of being a yandere, quite the opposite. He cherishes Kaoruko's time spent with him in a healthy manner, but still isn't able to understand just what she sees in a guy like him. The manga is an effective lesson in teaching how being too kind, to the point of never putting yourself first, can have detrimental issues too.
Is this simp behavior? I think that's considered simp behavior, right? I think that's literally simp behavior. Is that what they consider it? Yeah. Where you're super nice all the time. Oh my god.
And learning to love oneself as much as you love others is just as big a challenge as any. In combination with the lovingly expressive art thrown throughout the series that depicts the charm and turmoil teenage crushes induce, The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity is one of my favourite new ongoing series I'll be sure to keep up with. Shirahama Kamome is definitely not a new name on this channel by any means. Having referenced Witch Hat Atelier in most of my manga videos, it's not such a surprise I'd check out her previous manga, Enieru and Deviella, or Eni Devi for short. Just a little side note, I will be saying the names in their Japanese pronunciation, as the English localization is pronounced so many different ways, even when I asked several people. Back to the topic, Eni Devi is for people who are in need of an entertaining short read, consisting of two women, an angel and devil, who find themselves in hijinks and bizarre scenarios pertaining to the ideology of their titles. Given the premise, I'd be very surprised if the manga wasn't inspired by Good Omens by Neil Gaiman, especially considering
If you know, you know. If you know, you know. If you know who Neil Gaiman is. If you know, you know. I hope some of you actually know who that is. The creator of The Sandman. Yeah, he's not in a very good place. Given that he was,
Bright Roclos said winking face emoji.
Bro's a snake in the grass, I'm telling you now. Bro was say, okay, so just to give you up the speed, I'm just going to tell you guys the short synopsis of this. Neil Gaiman is a famous author. I think he wrote some comic books, especially his graphic novel, The Sandman. He is the type who will say, believe all women, no matter what. No matter what. And then, ironically, when people say things like this, they're usually the culprit of their own nonsense. So
the comment said no.
Bro said, I believe all women no matter what. And then it was revealed later on in time, because people held that against him for saying that, because you should never say that, because it looks stupid on your behalf and some nonsense happens. It has been shown that he has been a deviant for a good while against several women, with stories of insane stuff he has done to them. And now he's saying these women are lying. Oh, bro. I tell you something. Remember, if you try and be nice when you try and lay a pipe, you're a simp. That's funny. So yeah, so for those who don't know who that is, well, I'm not saying that his work isn't great.
The comment said knew it.
Like, I'm not saying his work isn't great. Actually, most of his work is really is phenomenal. But we need to separate the work from the artist in this particular situation. I think that Lines is supposed to mention his situation because he's in a lot of hot trouble. He has lost most of his Netflix deals, I think. Netflix deals, book deals, and all that stuff because of the stuff he was doing.
Comment said, "Oh, you heard that song too."
Yeah.
Short. Just a little side note, I will be saying the names in their Japanese pronunciation, as the English localization is pronounced so many different ways, even when I asked several people. Back to the topic, Eni Devi is for people who are in need of an entertaining short read, consisting of two women, an angel and devil, who find themselves in hijinks and bizarre scenarios pertaining to the ideology of their titles. Given the premise, I'd be very surprised if the manga wasn't inspired by Good Omens by Neil Gaiman, especially considering Shirahama Kamome appears to be a massive fan of the show, and much like the latter, Eni Devi delves into the conundrum of opposites attract, with both Enieru and
I'm surprised that Lines did not mention his nonsense, but okay.
Deviella continuously bickering like an old married couple, despite emerging from differing transcendent homes. It's the good old we're not meant to like each other scenario, where they both begrudgingly put up with each other's antics while secretly loving their attention and closeness, though Deviella would never admit to such. They're both doofuses in a rivalry lacking any real depth nor seriousness, nicknaming each other Eni and Devi fondly, clothes shopping together, blushing around another, or Enieru continuously having heart eyes when in Deviella's presence. Whilst it may not be the most original story out there, it's a different.
Let's be honest. When they write characters like this, the left tends to make a assumption about their friendship too much. It can never be platonic if you're in the West. You can never, if you're the same sex of someone else and you're very close, it can never be platonic in their head.
Change of pace for Shirahama Komome. Her approach towards comedy is more prominent, and infectiously so, as the beats of playful slapstick sequences elevate the unserious tone of the story. It does have a raunchiness surrounding it that Witch Hat lacks, and more appropriately so given the contrasting spirit and intention of both manga, that was a little surprising. A bit fanservice-y at times, but more in the likes of how Satoru Noda
I don't even know what that is, and if you want me to draw that character, you have to pay for that, sorry.
or Yoko go about fanservice, just appreciating the bodies of adult characters, so I wasn't too bothered in that regard. In fact, quite the opposite. Eni Devi does shortly conclude at 3 volumes, an entertaining afternoon read of exaggerated absurdity centred upon the unprofessional angel and devil. Whilst analogous to Witch Hat in terms of charm, the art style is, of course, a beauty to the eyes, as is pretty commonplace with Shirahama Komome's work. Much like Lost Lad London, if you're after a short read, this one more episodic in nature, I'd check this series out to consume a wider branch of Komome's writing capabilities.
Are you talking about the art style?
Yuto Sano's manga Gokorakugai is probably the most conventional of the list, in that it's a pretty formulaic series combining many other established manga tropes and narrative expositions in a way that feels familiar. This isn't meant to discredit the story nor characters. In fact, I see nothing wrong with using the conventional to your own advantage. And for Gokorakugai, the series does exactly this. It's very much a combination of Blue Exorcist, Jujutsu Kaisen or Kemono Jihen, which funnily enough Yuto Sano was an assistant for.
I'm not familiar with Kemono. I've been hearing some negative stuff about it lately, so I can't tell if the manga is good or not, but that's something you have to make your own opinion, not around others. That's just hype at that point. That's just outwards external hype, but you need to read that on your own. So I understand. I'm not familiar with Kemono Jin at all. That one's new to me. I've never heard or seen that before. Don't remember being recommended that at all.
While slowly separating into its own thing. After the success and attention its one-shot managed to garner, Yuto Sano was able to proceed in expanding the lore and world building of the supernatural, with an ongoing series now releasing in Jump Square. Gokorakugai introduces main characters Arama and Tao, an atypical pairing working together as troubleshooters for hire. It contains your typical fighting endeavours, with creatures, demons and the like troubling the human world as the dynamic duo fend them off and protect humankind. Sounds pretty cliché all things considered, but what intrigued me upon the story was the weakness of main character Arama, the more upfront and eager youngling of the two, whose powers as a half maga, yes, the monsters in this series are called maga, allow him to fend off the more powerful enemies. And yet, his biggest weakness is Tao. His free will becomes more limited without the presence of his partner, unable to enact and draw from his raw power without Tao being there to give him permission in using it. It's an interesting twist. His safety at the hands of Tao's authorizations gives him a weakness not so easy to overcome in comparison to other shonen main characters. It's not to say Tao revels in the power of Arama's undoing, rather she's an incredibly laid-back character, and that's perhaps what makes them work as a team so effectively. Arama is a boy who wears his heart on his sleeve, willing to hear out victims or even those in need of a pick-me-up, whilst Tao is still a mystery. A beautiful and majestic mystery, mind you, but a character whose depths are still yet to be explored properly. Which is fair given the manga isn't very far into its story, only a few volumes in, and clearly here for the long haul, much like the neighbouring manga also in the same magazine. It's unclear as to where Yoto Sano will direct the development.
I keep asking this question, and I usually have my mod bride remind me. Is Sephiroth of the End, is that cancelled? That was cancelled, right? Or was the anime cancelled but the manga's done? I can't remember. I feel like it got cancelled within like a cliffhanger or something. And I keep asking this question and I keep forgetting. And I keep having my mod bride remind me. Is it cancelled? Or did it meet its ending? Because I can never remember.
Element of the characters and story, but I've fallen intrigued by its potential. The art in the series is wonderful too, in particular the character designs, which are a stellar standing point towards the series' charm. From Tao and Arama.
Oh, the anime was? Was the manga finished? Because I was so annoyed when like the manga itself, the anime got cancelled, so I was like left on a cliffhanger.
To recurring side characters, so many are created to look as sleek and alluring as possible.
Okay.
They're very distinctive in style that I have no doubts many cosplayers will beg for the chance to dress as them once this series develops and becomes more popular. So if you're looking to be the first in on a series that may blow up later down the line, I'd consider catching up and familiarising yourself with Gakurakagai, because it's definitely showing a lot of potential, and it's almost guaranteed for an anime in the future if it keeps this up. The second romance recommendation is an adult-orientated josei observing the lives of Hoshi Koyori and Akiyama Hijiri, two childhood best friends, soon to be lovers. As recommended by my good friends, the Artisan Geek and Colleen's Manga Rex, I decided to give the series a try following their appreciation and positive feedback.
Okay.
And I am so glad that I did. Changes of Heart by Kujira spares no time in acquainting its readers towards a more mature themed romance. The story explores sexual intimacy, the developing change of a relationship status, and the compelling drive of following your heart's desires. Following the aftermath of being cheated on by her boyfriend, Koyori drunkenly hooks up with her longtime childhood friend, Hijiri, of whom she felt infatuated with deep down all along. My eyebrow did raise a little with the first few pages, mostly concerned over Koyori seemingly confused as to where she was and what amounts of consent was clouded, before the true nature of their relationship was established and those minuscule red flags flew away. Hijiri thankfully doesn't come off as an opportunistic jerk towards Koyori, truthfully not knowing about her
Remember, it's only not consent if they like you.
true drunken state, and more concerned about her well-being and why she was so aghast.
Now if he was ugly, he's going to jail!
Whilst the incident is framed as a mistake at first, both taking ownership of the situation that pushed them straight from the offset that the lingering feelings are entirely mutual on both sides. Something I'm very glad was established so preemptively, as it left no uncertainties towards the narrative direction. Kujira manages to successfully balance that fine line regarding a mistaken rebound scenario that, if written by anyone else, could have rubbed me the wrong way.
See?
Hijiri is pretty quick in reacting to the scenario, wanting to push the relationship forward due to the evolving change in the relationship that previously stayed non-romantical, but that can also be put down to it being the first chapter, where the premise had to be engaging enough for publishers to pick the story up for an official release. So I'll let that slide. In fairness though, Hijiri does acknowledge the guilt in taking advantage of Koyori during an emotional, distressing time. But Koyori herself brushes that off, knowing full well her feelings matches his own. Childhood friends to lovers is a trope I adore when approached well.
Oh, you can only use them unless you like them. Okay, that worked. That checks out for everyone.
And Changes of Heart does such a
as long as she likes you.
Silver Comet said, how good of a sandwich can you make?
sweet job in portraying the nuances and progressing through the sometimes awkward shift of friends to more. Not to suggest you don't stay friends, of course, but the slight adjustments that make for touching moments of change, or the hesitancy of fearing for said friendship if something goes wrong. The story progresses through differing spectrums of love in adulthood, from trusting your partner by giving them space if needed or respecting boundaries. Unfortunately, it's yet to have any physical release news, as is sadly the case for many josei, but I feel a story like this would be universally loved if given more of a marketing push and general accessibility outside just
No. 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 Not here. No. 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 No, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna be honest. That's not gonna work out here. No.
a US digital release. So if you do pick this manga up following this video, be sure to spread the love on social media so Kodansha can see the—
There are only 3 reasons why this individual, this particular character, is not in jail. Number 1, his childhood friend. Number 2, he's probably attracted to her. Number 3, she already liked him. She already liked him from before. So, you know, yeah. And then, even when she claimed earlier that he tried to use her for an emotional situation, we all know what that actually means, because he was going through something. She liked him already, so she allowed it to happen. So, no, I don't think that type of message is going to go well with the Westerners. I'm just saying, like, by experience of how they portray men here.
Comet said she'd been waiting for that.
Yeah.
The potential of this wholesome yet realistic romance manga. Majiru Mie Magical Girls is the perfect composite of both the magical girl genre and the superhero genre. Currently ongoing in Shonen Jump Plus, Majiru Mie caught my attention because of its lack of conformity within the very genres I grouped it with. It's a very refreshing take on heroism. Conventionally in those stories, the main character will be someone who acts on instinct, will go out of their way to save someone no matter the collateral damage to their surroundings or how much self-inflicted pain they'll go through. And I do get that moral.
So it's just magical girl Spider-Man to a degree, right? Because Peter will throw himself in front of a bus. That sounds like Spider-Man to me.
Shows the sacrificial nature of a hero and the compassionate qualities they possess. In contrast, main character Sakuragi Kana showcases a different approach of heroism. Starting the series as a young woman failing multiple job interviews, she goes to a coffee shop in an attempt to re-energize herself before the next inevitable disappointment. But coincidentally, it's here where her qualities shine. With accurate observancy towards taking in her surroundings, in addition to impressive memorization,
right?
She's able to help the baristas during a busy hold-up, by listing the detailed orders the customers before her had requested. While sounding mundane in this scenario, it's those exact qualities that make for an interesting hero. Being a magical girl within this world is a fully fleshed career with differing degrees of success. They're essentially superhero magical girls who work for a company that gets hired to defeat whatever enemy may lurk near.
So My Hero Academia. Is that what that is? You know, if you think about it, if you actually think about it, if Captain America literally went with the Accords like what Tony Stark wanted, it would be literally My Hero Academia. Think about it. Just like in Soul Leveling, My Hero Academia, the government has some form of like hands in this. So
Silver Comet said I was thinking Hololive, but sure.
That too. Oh, actually no. Let me see. Have I seen that one? Hololive? I haven't seen Hololive. I gotta watch that.
And Kana finds herself abruptly accepted into said industry through helping Koshigeya, an established magical girl of high power, through her promising abilities of memory and spatial awareness. The company she's accepted into only naturally being Majiru Mie.
Yeah.
It's no easy feat to stay calm and collected during stressful scenarios, especially when cornered and with no real means of escape. Thus, going for the easiest decision is the norm in shonen series, but always at the sacrifice of others' livelihoods, homes, or self-inflicted injuries. As a change of pace, Kana instead assesses the dangerous situations at breakneck speed, thinking of every issue and each decision she could make, but more importantly, the consequences of each action. And that in and of itself is a superpower not nearly explored enough. Majulumiye Magical Girls furthers the definition of heroism. The team surrounding Kana are befittingly sweet and proud of Kana for joining their team and being a solid asset to the new duo that is Kana and Koshigaya. Not only is it refreshing to see the girls be the big guns fighting the monsters whilst the guys play as the strategic support.
What is she talking about? There's a bunch of anime where there's a protagonist that is a woman and she's the main character, and there's several women that... What is she talking about? This is not the first anime to do something like this to a degree, having a woman protagonist with other strong female protagonists in anime. What is she talking about? Wait, go back again. Let me hear that
duo
again.
That is Kana and Koshigaya. Not only is it refreshing to see the girls be the big guns fighting the monsters whilst the guys play as the strategic support, their company itself is an inspiring one.
What are they talking? Isn't there anime right now about a superhero girl? I think her name is Shy.
Comet said yeah, she's not done any research of her own.
Like, isn't there like there's an anime right now called, I think, Shy or something. It's like a superhero anime, and they have like companies and stuff just like this. Oh, I forgot what it's called. I think it's called Shy. And it works through the life of a typical girl who's a superhero.
The channel name 'cause I'm interested what the comment says.
Comment
said yes.
Her name is Lines and Emotions. There we go. That, and then there was another one. There's another magical girl type anime, just like this to a degree. And there's a superhero one. I think it's called Shy the Superhero or something. I gotta look that up.
Conventional leader of the group is mindful of overworking his staff, making sure they're well paid, that their costumes are of high quality, and on top of all else, is respectful to the girls and their...
Yeah, I was right. The anime is called Shy. S-H-Y. Let me see. Her most stirring to an enemy yet. Yeah, it's literally about a superhero girl, and most of the staff is female. And I think there's like one male. That's it.
Work. Kana is reassured that all ideas are good ideas, and she won't be mocked for sharing them. Hell, even...
That's not a good mindset. There's not something as a bad idea, but you need to understand not every good idea is actually good. It's good that you express them, right? But doesn't mean they're all good.
During a heavily stressful and time-limiting dilemma, when she asks for 3 minutes to think further for a better solution, the team is completely willing to give her that. The duo team of writer Iwata Seka and artist Aoki Yu really got me with this supportive cast and premise. I love the unique take on the genre, that it's a whole group of adults, not schoolgoers, the endearing relationship between Kana and Koshigaya, and even the political conflicts that happen later in the series. Once again, it is stuck as a digital release only for now, but hopefully with a push that will change in the future.
Okay. I don't know.
I am definitely going to have to get used to this new lens and this new little microphone thing, attachment, thingy bob that I've got. Whatever. Anyways.
To release a tiger, would that be good?
I actually like how that was said. That was funny.
Thanks for watching to the end of the video. As always, I haven't done a manga recommendation video in a good year and a bit.
Yeah.
But I wanted to do one because I think I read over 40 manga, I think, in preparation for this video. And there were some bangers in there, I can't lie. The next video is actually going to be a spooky one, hopefully kind of to reflect the spooky season that we're going to be going into. Although for some reason the UK has gone into summer weather, even though it's September and we've had no sun up until now.
Just to be clear, this video is a year ago, so if she's saying this, then you know.
But whatever, it's Halloween coming up soon, so you're going to get a spooky video, and then the video after that is going to be about the summer Hikaru-kun died. I'm really looking forward to that one, but the second volume doesn't come out until middle of October, so that one should either be around Halloween or just after. But I'm really looking forward to covering that one too, so do let me know what you think of the recommendations that I've put in this video, because some of them were genuinely really good, and I'm probably going to be covering some of them in the future as their own solo videos, kind of like what I did with Skip and Loafer. As usual, I want to thank my patrons for supporting my channel. I was able to get a new camera lens, which I am speaking into.
Alright, I'm gonna stop from there. Thank you, Lines in Motion, for that nice video. Okay. Thank you, Lines in Motion, for that nice video. I would say some of the opinions that was made in this video was kind of questionable, but then again, we all make mistakes to a degree. This was a year old, so it is what it is. No hate, but then again, like, some of the things you said was like, I don't know. I think you should fact check some of those statements you made, but it is what it is. But with that said, great video. You presented pretty well and all that great stuff, and I'll see you guys in the next one. We're going to the next video. So, laters, and give a follow to Lines of Motion. I'll put their channel into the description once I make this into a video, and all that great stuff. Alright, we're going to the next one, guys. Let me check Facebook real quick. Wait, hold on. Almost made a big boo-boo there. Yep, almost made a big boo-boo there.
Silver Comet said, I see.
Let's see here. Okay, let me get this up first. Oop. Okay, there we go. Let's see what you guys seeing. Okay, it's not being seen correctly. Come on, stop playing games with me. Okay, settings. There we go. Okay, picture in picture. There you go. All right, you guys can see that with the Among Us thing. Just let me know if you see the.
Silver said, well, Pimer, head out now.
All right, Silver. All right, later, bro. Thank you. All right, let me check my Facebook real quick. So I know what that's about. All right, before I load that in. Okay, so this video is from the Masked, I think Masked Man. Wait, you see? I remember I did his videos before. The Masked Man, yeah. So this is from the Masked Man, and he says, and this is 3 years ago, so it's old. And I know, Jace, why are you going to old videos? Just because the video's old doesn't mean the recommendations are any less, like, important, because a recommendation is a recommendation. I can recommend you, like, Yu Yu Hakusho, Dragon Ball, Hunter x Hunter, and these are decades-long old mangas that still, still holds the test of time. So it doesn't matter of what time the video was made. All that matters is if the recommendations are good. Because I can recommend you like Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, I don't know, old Halo 3, 1, 2, and 3. I'm saying they're still good games. They're just not brand new. You can still recommend it to someone who wants to get into those things or looking for a game to play. So it's like that. So don't, just because a video's old doesn't make the video any more valid to not watch, because a good book's a good book, right? Doesn't matter if it's coming from someone who's like, I don't know, as old as J.K. Rowling to someone who is young as like your sister or your brother or whoever. So it is what it is. I think that's a fair statement. So I'm going to start this. This is from the Masked Man. It says, so you wanted more manga recommendations. I think it's more to it. Yeah, that's what he said. All right, so let's see what he has as I look at my Facebook.
I've been trying to be experimental. We all know I'm only good for one thing, and that's manga recommendations. I've been trying to be experimental, doing lots of different things, but I know what y'all want at the end of the day. So here you go, some more manga recommendations. Now, before we do get into them, if you are new to the channel, or if you've been watching me for some time and you haven't subscribed,
what video you finished?
What? He said, teach after reacting to the video like it, so you can know what you finish. Wait, what? I'm sorry. Teach after reacting to the video like it, so you know what video you finished. Am I reading that wrong? I feel like I'm reading that wrong. Rewrite that? I think I'm reading that wrong.
Make sure you like, leave a comment, subscribe, and turn on the bell notifications.
10:30.
It'll only take a little bit of your time, and
Oh.
it helps the channel immensely. The first recommendation is Alice in Hell. Honestly, I just kind of found this one randomly. I was bored just typing in random words, and then bam, this manga popped up, so then I checked it out. Alice in Hell is a post-apocalyptic story with the typical factions and all the whatnots you would expect from that type of environment. The only thing is our protagonist is actually insane. He's a kid whose father was like the best sniper in the world, so he taught his son how to be a sniper. So his
Never heard of this, so this one's different.
son's ultimate goal and ambition is to be the greatest serial killer of all time. And the thing is the protagonist seems to have some redeeming qualities, being an extremely vulnerable character at first, but slowly and surely as the story goes on, we begin to figure out how mentally unstable he is. And then once we figure out his backstory, we can see that the lack of compassion and true love in one's childhood, well, can result in some pretty horrendous things. He's also in possession of this sort of kind of android-like thing that he has to take care of that looks exactly like Alice from Alice in Wonderland, hence the name Alice in Hell. I read this story a few months ago. It's around 49 chapters. Personally, I think you could knock it out in a very short amount of time. I'd recommend it. Just a little bit of a disclaimer as the story can get pretty grotesque. The next manga on today's list, I guess, is Blue Heaven. Blue Heaven, another manga that was actually recommended to me, I think, over half a year ago, and I read it over half a year ago. And it's a quick, short, thrilling, action-packed story.
Reacting to the video. Like the video so you won't rewatch it by mistake.
Oh, yes. No, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, I'll do that. Thank you. That's actually a good idea. That's actually a good idea. Thank you, Bri. I never thought of doing that. I should do that. I will do that. Thank you, because I know that sometimes we run into videos that may be, like, similar to another video, or it could be exactly the same video we did before, so I can see why you would say that. So yeah, because that has happened.
Nothing much, but
nothing much. We're just doing reactions right now, is getting anime recommendations, and then after that we're jumping off.
Story. Essentially, all these people are on a boat, and the one kind of in charge of this cruise is an absolute maniac and is just flat out racist. Like, I don't mean like, oh, he said some remark. No, like, he's straight up racist. Like, he wants all these people on this boat to die. And that's the antagonist of our story. Now, who's gonna stop this man? Well, someone who kind of hopped on this boat, who's a trained killer. Again, this is another one of those stories that I wouldn't necessarily sell it to you for the amazing characters or themes and all that. It's just a short, fun, action-packed story from beginning to end. And I'm pretty sure it's like around or less than 20 chapters. Okay, now this next one's a guilty pleasure of mine, and I don't really know where else to talk about it, but I want to talk about it. So the manga is Shangri-La Frontier, and essentially it starts off with our protagonist who loves playing terrible video games until he walks into his gaming store and the owner's like, yo, why don't you try playing a good video game? So recommends him the most famous game in this fictional world, and he hops in his VR set, and since he's good and he's already used to being screwed over by bad video games, he's kind of getting the hang of this one a lot better, and he's falling in love with it because of good mechanics and la 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 la. Now, what would be the selling point of what seems to be another generic video game setting isekai, right? Although I don't really know if it actually qualifies as isekai because he's not stuck in
viewer.event_format.tts.rich_message.attachment.
Sorry, I have
The samurai said the anime is fun and GL.
I have to watch it. I don't like the opening song, but I have to give it a try. I know it has some awesome moments in this, so I have to watch it eventually. It feels like the anime gives me what do you call it? What's that game when the guy gets trapped and he becomes like an evil boss? Oh my god. It's with the girl with the what's her name? Oh my god. He has a skeleton face. You guys know what I'm talking about. He's, I guess, trapped in the video game.
In this gaming world. Like, he could return to the real world and back and play other video games, which he does. The main reason I actually like this story is it feels like an actual video game being accomplished as it continues on, and it has some interesting concepts with that, and I just actually really enjoy the character interactions. It's fun. I can't really explain why, nor do I really want to. Sometimes
Overlord.
you just like
there we go. I feel like it's overlap but in reverse.
And there's not really an explanation for it. Moving on though to the next recommendation, we have My Dress Up Darling. Now this recently got an anime. In fact, I saw episode 1 with the homies, and that's what compelled me to check out the manga.
I saw this with a girlfriend. I think she enjoyed it very much so.
Because you know how much of a manga junkie I am. And I actually really like the concept behind this series because it tackles more than just obviously the basic romance and a rom-com, but it also kind of addresses the idea of hobbies and interests that people have, and sort of, despite maybe some of them not being quote-unquote normal per se, it's if somebody loves doing something, then let them do it. But from where the manga is currently at, I think the story actually moves at a decent pace. The relationship between the main character and the main girl, it's going along quite smoothly, I would say. And I find the dynamic between the characters extremely pleasant and fun to read. It's not overly repetitive, and it's not to the point where you're like, please, move on. Can there please be some progress with this relationship? So, for those that are currently suffering from the recent Rent-A-Girlfriend chapter, if you're looking for something new and better, here you go. Okay, now this next manga, I'm kind of upset that I read it, or at least I was at first, because, okay, let me explain the premise, and for those of you that read it, I want to see if you catch on. It's about a bio-terrorist who goes around his school terrorizing, and I don't know if I could say. Okay, the story's Onani Master Kurosawa. Look, okay, originally this story starts off as honestly like a degenerate Death Note parody, but at the end of the story, it actually has some really beautiful character development. Like, it comes out of nowhere. Nah, but seriously, like, it's a story that at first you don't expect much from, and you think it's nothing but just a troll series that's recommended to you, until you reach the ending of it, and then you're left with a story that's actually a little bit beautiful. Don't get me wrong, like, it's still a little weird reading it, but I genuinely recommend it, as I think it's
This sounds very familiar. I feel like this is like a revenge story or something insane.
one of those stories that really hones in on the idea of self-improvement, of friendship, and seeing the characters kind of grow up in life is actually really heartwarming and incredibly touching. Again, another short story, around only like 20 chapters, but I'd recommend it. I'm not gonna say highly recommend it, but I'd recommend it. Okay, so I have a Death Note video either coming out before or after this video, and this is by the same author as Death Note. I know also wrote another series, Bakuman, which has been really recommended. I want to check that one out eventually. But Platinum's End. Now, Platinum's End visually has some of my favorite covers, art style, just period in manga. And the same goes for Death Note, especially with some of the manga wallpapers that it has. I'm going to be straight up. Do I think Platinum's End is as good as Death Note? No. Not at all. I think Death Note has a far better protagonist-antagonist dynamic, and overall as the story paces itself a lot better. And so if you haven't read Death Note, go ahead and check it out. But regarding Platinum's End, it's a lot shorter. It's only around 50 chapters. They do go by a little slow because there's a lot of dialogue and a lot of content within these chapters. But I think this story offers a lot of really interesting concepts, and it tries to tackle a lot of really interesting themes that are very, very thought-provoking, which is something that I always enjoy. Overall, I think the story it tries to be thrilling, but I think the format of the story kind of fails in doing so. And I don't know what it is, but it feels like the mystery towards things and the conflicts just don't really have all the impact that I think a Death Note really had. To explain the premise, our protagonist tries to commit suicide, and so then he's visited by this angel that grants him the wish of wanting to make his life happy and help him discover a happy life because, again, his life kind of sucks. So he ends up having these powers, the ability to fly with angel wings, and these things known as white and red arrows. Red arrows making somebody fall in love with you, and white arrows which can instantly kill someone. The thing is he's not the only person. There's 12 other people with these powers. Not all of them have the white arrow, though. So essentially, this is one big battle royale because the angels need to select a candidate for who will take the position of God. Sounds like a really intriguing premise, but the way the story goes about it in the end I find is a little bit disappointing, but that's just my personal opinion. I'd still recommend this manga for you to check it out and have your own opinions on the series. Okay, so I lied because manga isn't the only thing I'm recommending in this video. This one's a manhwa, and it's the hero has...
What literally is the difference? What is the difference? Like, I don't see the difference. The only thing that tells me that they're different is because they're made in a different country. Manga. Korean anime or Korean manga, Japanese comics. You know what I'm saying? And then West, they trying to say I'm making a manga. Why you just call it wanga? Western manga. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not that hard, people. We can just wombo that thing. Just wombo the M. I wombo, you wombo, he, she, me, wombo, womboing, wombology. It's not that hard. This is first grade, SpongeBob. Like Jesus, just call it wonga, Western manga. It's not that hard.
Returned. You can find it on Webtoon if you want to check it out and read it. And this story was actually recommended to me.
Oh, and color. Yes, you're not wrong about that. There's color. I guess some people don't like color. Some people like the black and white. That's fine. I think Koreans usually have all their manga or manhwas all in color. I think rarely they're ever in black and white. Unlike manga, they're in black and white. I don't know about us in America. I think we do both. I think we do both. I think we do both black and white or color, depending on what we are feeling. I think we do both. I think.
That's how Carlin's.
Or we just call it webtoons. Whatever the fuck.
And he recommended me this a while ago. I think almost near the beginning of last year. And this story, when I read the first chapter, I was absolutely blown away because it was the first chapter unlike anything else I'd ever seen. It does things in a very different manner, and it totally hooked me. So essentially, this story starts off like its basic isekai. However, it's at the end of the story where what seems to be our main character is about to finally go back home. The tragedy is when he goes back home, he realizes that his family is dead, the world has moved on without him, and life sucks. So he feels like his reward for saving entire other reality is completely unfair. So now he desires everyone else to be miserable with him. Now, this story is very, very edgy, I'm not gonna lie. However, you can't say it's not fun. And this first chapter is absolutely incredible. Because that is actually not the main character of our story. The main character of our story is established in the upcoming chapters. It's a very unorthodox way to present a narrative, but it's, again, one that I think grasped me entirely. As for the current state of the story...
Oh, the book pulls a Jesus Christ. Our main character doesn't come till later in the book. Gotcha.
I'm not going to say I'm the biggest fan of the direction in which it's kind of taken. It's not what I expected. But overall, I think it's one to keep an eye on. And again, you could catch up immediately. It's like 34 chapters. But just like a lot of other manhwa, it's incredibly hype. Now, this next story is completed, and it's only around like 12, 13 chapters. But it's a short, to-the-point thriller mystery. And this story has...
Bro, what is with this music? I understand you're trying to put atmosphere, but Jesus.
Some incredible, incredible artwork. Some of the best I've seen. And that's Aisha's Secret. So, imagine like the typical Disney princess thing, kind of the Cinderella storyline. Bad stepmother into another family, her mom died, this new family treats her like crap. And actually, it's an extremely abusive household, and you genuinely feel terrible for her. Eventually, she grows up with this family, and things get to the point that this stepmom takes her out into the woods and kills her, until she seemingly comes back to life and proceeds to haunt her and the rest of the family, eventually bringing ruin. And the mystery behind how this is possible is actually really well done in my opinion and properly foreshadowed. The only complaint I have about this story is that I low-key wish it was longer because I genuinely enjoyed it that much. Although, maybe the concepts that the author's trying to put within the story maybe don't work in a longer format. So for shorter mangas, manhwas, or whatever this would classify as, this is probably one of the, if not the best one I've read. Now, in my opinion, I've saved the best for last, and that story is Out. It is a delinquent manga series. And it does a lot of the things that are typical of delinquent manga series. It's extremely vulgar. It has characters that look a lot older than their actual age. But this story begins with our protagonist, Iguchi, or Iguchi. I don't know if I don't know if there's an anime for it. I don't know how it's pronounced. I'm sorry. Point is he's recently been released.
I know back in the day when tell me if I'm lying. Like, if you lived within my time, like within the 90s all the way to like late 2010s, mid 2010s, if you look older than you did for your age, that was a win for most boys, right? if you look older than what your age is, that was a win for most boys, right? But now 30-year-olds like I am still look like we're still in high school. It sounds like we're still in high school or just getting into college. I don't know. I don't think that's a win. I don't think that's a win, bro. That's not a flex. So, like, it's funny. Because, like, I know I'm 30, but, like, I don't feel 30. I don't feel 30. I don't even look 30. That's the weirdest part. But now, like, back then, I wanted to look older than I was before. I think most boys wanted to because they just look mature and they just wanted to, like, pull women. But now I'm 30 years old and I don't look 30. And I'm like kind of glad I don't, but I also don't like that I'm not too. So I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. It's a crazy thing. It's a crazy. I think not just myself. I'm pretty sure anyone in my area within the 90s up to this point feel more younger than they are. They're at their age truly is. Which is funny because we went through a lot of nonsense within the 90s to this point with all the historical stuff that's been happening. We should look older than what we look, especially the stress we're under. We should be looking 40 at 20, but we look literally 19 at 30. So I don't know what's happening. So when he said that statement about delinquent boys looking more older than they are, I'm like,
said hey.
Hey. It feels that way. It's kind of funny.
Released from juvie, and he's trying not to go back because of the horrible punishment that exists there, and he's trying to live a clean life without violence. However, violence seems to always find him at every turn and every corner, as he even ends up befriending one of the captains of one of the largest gangs in the area in which he lives. Now, this manga has been going on since like 2012, and I'm pretty sure it's still ongoing, and if I'm not mistaken, it has 197 chapters so far. So this is the longest story that I've recommended, and if I had to really sell it to you, I think this has one of the strongest casts in all of manga. It has a lot of really, really amazing characters with a ton of character dynamics that's really easy to fall in love with. Also,
I'm telling you, the guy who made what's that show? What's that anime called? With the gangster, the gang fighting anime with the time traveling. Oh my god, I'm literally losing it now. I'm forgetting stuff.
GAMEIARTGIRL said a lot of kids think I'm 17, 15, 14, and the older people think I'm 11 to 15.
Yeah, a lot of people think I'm still 17. 17, 18, early 20s. So, that's annoying. But then again, they also think I sound 17 mostly or 16, so I can't really blame them. I don't sound like I do anyway. So that's why I think a lot of people think I still play, or think I play Fortnite.
Tokyo Revengers.
Tokyo Revengers. I'm pretty sure the dude who made Tokyo Revengers is swinging at the air. There we go. He's like literally like swinging at the air right now. It's like, damn, why is every other gangster anime doing better than mine? It's like, why do you think? I heard that the ending was abysmal. It was like horrible.
Also, the fighting is extremely intense and sometimes borderline ridiculous for a delinquent series. My favorite character being Meguro, without a doubt. That man is an absolute... when y'all get to his character, you'll see. There's only one kind of criticism / disclaimer that I have to give regarding this series, and that's that the main character is genuinely either barely there or completely irrelevant and absent for like a solid 100 chapter stretch. And I'm not kidding. When it was like 30, 40 chapters, I was...
Are you scared? Are you serious? Bro's like kind of absent. And the MC. Yeah, and the MC. Like, Jesus.
Like, okay. And then it was 50, and then it was 60, and then it was 7. By 80, I was like, all right, this is a little bit ridiculous. As what kind of ends up happening is the author seems to establish so many characters that have absolutely no relation to the protagonist, and then goes into backstories for those characters that the protagonist, again, is just completely irrelevant from, like, chapter 90 to the rest of the story. And look, don't get me wrong, I still love the manga immensely, and I would actually argue that the stretch that he's not present is the best stretch in the entire series, without a doubt. It's an insanely just wild but incredible delinquent war arc, if you will. And the narrative reasons as to why the protagonist isn't there makes sense. However, again, it's just something that I want to throw out there as a disclaimer, because even though I really like his character, I can't really... I don't really know if I can say anything extremely positive about him as a protagonist.
Said by I have to do freaky choirs, bye-bye.
Alright, do your thing. Thank you for coming in. You know, when he puts it that way, it makes it sound like... it's a risk.
Samurai said, but he had the perfect ending, but he just had to continue it.
Yeah.
Ryuga Samurai said by Gamer Art Girl.
So, like, the thing is for me is, like, the way that Mask is talking, it sounds like to me the author took a gamble to work more on world building than on its character. Or at least world build first, prioritize the world building more than over their character, and that's kind of hard to do. I get that, and that's a bit of a risk, because you can do the world building, but if you don't like your protagonist, or your protagonist's not there half the time, they just feel like another piece to the puzzle, or to a degree, and doesn't feel like a main character. It just feels like a somewhat weird conduit between other characters. Kind of like this is where I think the idea of like Durarara does really well, and also it's Durarara does a very great job of explaining characters in a way that, yes, Takato is the main character, but it doesn't feel like he's the main character. He feels like a piece of the world, but it doesn't feel like he's our main character. Right? He feels like he's part of the world, and everyone that's in that world has some form of say-so, and it makes sense, right? But if your main character's not there 90% of the time, and you're focusing more on world building, it's gonna start a weird disconnect where you're not really connected to that character anymore, or depending on how they are too. And he did say it makes sense why the character is not built into the story to a degree like that, but or for later on chapters. But this is where One Piece, Durarara, and I can't think of another anime, but does very well.
I said, yeah, I feel like the city is the MC.
Yeah, that's what it feels like to me. Like from what's her name? What's the writer with the helmet, and her boyfriend, and all the other, and Shizuo, and all of them. They all feel like one whole MC amongst like their different emotions within the city that you get to know in that type of space. So it doesn't feel like Takato is the main character. He's one piece of the whole puzzle, right? But like if you're writing a character that is a main character and that's our center focus, but you're writing about other things and we're supposed to care about the main character, that's going to cause a weird disconnect, right? But this is where you can give to Oda credit, because he started with Luffy, and no matter what situation Luffy's in, somehow Luffy's part of the story to a degree, even if he's absolutely not part of the backstory of a character. It eventually tells us the backstory of the character, and it comes back to Luffy, right? Celty, there we go. Why was I saying Essie? For some reason I was going to say Essie. Celty, right? So like, that's what it feels like when you watch One Piece, because no matter what character, whether it's a villain or somewhere an ally or a central character, or it doesn't matter, as long as they have a backstory, you know it's going to come right back to the present where we are, right? Back to Luffy and his friends, right? So it doesn't feel a disconnect. But once you make the main character not seen for chapters, right? Long chapters, to the point that he's not even present, or totally irrelevant to the story at all, just that's going to cause a weird disconnect. It's like a giant forced on world building filler, unless it has some significance to it. But if you're just building characters for the sake of characters, and their problems or their issues are not stepping back to the main character in some shape or form, you're gonna have yourself a problem one way or another. So
when he's not even really present in the story. And this isn't something like Real, where there's different protagonists, or Dorohedoro, where it chooses to focus on other characters, but even then, it all rounds back to the main character, Kaiman, and the mystery behind him. No, it genuinely feels like he's demoted from his role as main.
See, that's what I'm saying. That's not good. Because if you write your character like that, that's gonna...
The samurai said, cough, cough, tingo, tingo.
Big Tango. Oh, I actually haven't finished that. I have to actually finish that one. But wow, that brings you back to the 2010s. Yeah, early 2010s, late 2000s. Yeah, that's gonna cause a disconnect. If the characters doesn't come back to their main focus character, then that's gonna cause a weirdness where, why am I hanging out with this dude while I'm mostly 90% hanging out with the other dudes? It makes no sense.
Character, which is a shame because I really liked him, but I'd still highly recommend it because there's plenty of other characters and so many awesome fight scenes, and also incredible planning for a delinquent series. Yo, these delinquents ain't stupid. They got some master plans. So again, definitely check it out. I highly recommend it. Again, just with the small caveat that I wouldn't attach yourself too much to the main character, at least at this current moment where the story's at. As always, though, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, or any other recommendations that you might have. And once again, if you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, turn on the bell notifications. Also, liking helps immensely. This is
right. Oh yeah, you remember that scene where the dude was chasing? I think a girl was chasing. Was it a girl? Was it a girl chasing a dude on a bike in Tenjo Tiga? I forgot that scene. It was kind of funny. Someone was being chased when they was on a motorcycle. I can't remember what it was. It was such a long time ago. I should watch it.
This has been The Masked Man. Hope everyone has a blessed rest of the day, and peace.
Did that show get canceled, though? Alright, so that was The Masked Man, everyone. So, like, subscribe, share, follow, comment.
What do all of the best
I hope you guys enjoyed this and all that great stuff. Let's see what's left, just to make sure. So you're making perfect art style.
looking manga have in common? You probably think there's no
How
way
long is
to
this?
objectively
Okay. Okay, so first thing, that was The Masked Man. All that great stuff. I hope you guys give him a follow, and I'll put that into the descriptions. Give him a follow, like, share, follow, and comment. I'll see you guys in the next one, and all that great stuff. We have one last video left. I said we was going to do 2 reactions on manga, but I said we was going to at least shoot in at least one art video.
Said good video.
Very good video. So, like, we're going to shoot in this last video here. This came out 2 days ago. This is from... Never heard of this guy before. I gotta leave a like Bryce said. Shonen, wait, what's that thing that people use? A Ouija. That's how you say it? O-U-J-I, a Ouija? Like a Ouija board? That's weird. Shonen a Ouija. So this is from Shonen a Ouija. And it says here, the secret to making a perfect art style. So this is going to be on the art channel. So for those who don't know, this is going on the art channel. Anything art related will go on the art channel. Anything manga, anything that is like anime, or anything that is entertainment wise will go on the reactions channel. I'm making everything anime over there, and then eventually when things start growing, we'll kind of like veer off to other things other than just anime. But right now, let's just niche it to the point where people actually get comfortable with these reactions. So, hold on. Reconnecting. There we go. We reconnected. So, let me put this here. So, let's just jump into it now. So, this is from Shonen Ouija. It says the secret of making a perfect art style. So, let's knock this out real fast.
define what the perfect art style looks like? We all know who the best artists are, but we also know how different their styles look. So even though we all have our own idea of what the best art style is, there's actually a simple way to separate all of the best art styles from everyone else. That's why in this video, I'd like to talk about
Oh, I remember you now. Okay.
the 3 steps to making a perfect art style, analyze how they're each applied by the best artists in manga, and explain what it is that all of the best artists have in common. But before I talk about those 3 steps, first let's discuss what an art style really is. Because while I'm sure everyone basically knows what I'm talking about, I want to make sure we're all on the same page. Style is all about how you distinguish something. It's the way you make something stand out from everything else. So in the context context of art, it's the way you draw art that makes it stand out from all of the other artists. When we're talking about manga, or any comics for that matter, it usually comes down to how you draw your characters.
Samurai said, "Oh yeah, I'm sub to him."
Yeah.
Specifically the techniques you use to draw
I think,
your characters.
if I remember, I started reacting to, he was one of the first creators I started reacting to on the channel. When I started on the art channel, then I moved everything over there.
Can include things such as lining, coloring, expression, and plenty more. Objects can be included, as not everyone is going to draw the same object the same way. Backgrounds and panels are a less common example, since it's harder to draw these kinds of things and not have them look like everyone else's, but one of the secrets we'll talk about later does include these kinds of techniques. But the real question is, okay, I get what an art style is, but how do you make an art style? There's no right or
Foundation. There is a right or wrong. He may say it in a very subjective way, but it's foundation. It's ultimately falls under the 8. Now you guys getting your art stuff. You're getting your 8 fundamentals. You need to learn the 8 fundamentals. What are the 8? Now, I always say it. It's usually around shape. It's shape for those who are looking at the screen. Oh, wait, maybe you can't see it. Oh, no. Well, this is going to be... Okay, you know what? Let me knock this out real quick. So I'll just explain this to a degree as an art teacher. Let me just knock this out real quick. I'm going to show this right here. So it's like here, shape, form. Shape means 2D. Form means 3D, and then we have our gesture. Gesture usually falls under 2 things, either movement. Oh, can't see it that well. Let me make that smaller. It falls under movement/verb. So even if a character is standing, that is a verb. It's not a dynamic one, but it's a verb nonetheless. And even when you're standing, you're still moving in a dynamic manner that is not just straight. You're not a robot like a stick figure, like 1, 2, like this. No, you're literally standing at a tilt in some shape and fashion, and how you relax when you stand. That's different amongst all species and all that stuff, and people, shapes and sizes, blah, 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 men and women, blah, 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 children, animals. So everyone's different. So movement is gesture and movement right there. And then, or the overall action of something. It doesn't have to, and a lot of people tend to get this confused. The idea of gesture does not mean accuracy on anatomy. Right? It's just the actual thing the character is doing. So if you draw a character that's not anatomically correct, but they're trying to shoot a basket into a basketball, the focus is shooting the basketball in the most convincing way possible. Whether it's a cartoon form, anime, something realistic, or a case may be. All right. And then the next thing is foreshortening. Now, foreshortening is basically the idea of it's the poor man's perspective. I would say it's like an introduction to the poor man's perspective, meaning like if you take like this cylinder here and you want it to look like it's coming from like at you, or a fist, say a fist, let's use a fist. You want this fist to come at you in a way that feels like it's realistic. Instead of just shooting it like this, you curve it and you squish everything, because this fist here, because the size of the fist will indicate how close it is. Because remember, we're the camera, right? So the fist is the biggest thing because it's coming at you. Everything else in the background gets smaller or shrinks by comparison, okay? What the? Oh, TikTok acting stupid again. Okay, now we're back. The fist is different by comparison because it is coming at us, and the other fist in the background gets smaller. Okay.
Jolly Incher 35 said the sphere method I've seen used to show things in 3D thinking face emoji.
Or you can use the sphere method, doesn't matter. But like as long as you're applying these rules, you can you can apply them to your characters to a degree. So I'm not even drawing like an actual character, but it's giving you an understanding like it's shape hierarchy based on distance. That's what that is. Okay. And sizing and squishing and squashing to a degree, or even stretching, squash and stretch to a degree. Now with shape, form, gesture.
Said animating again or just sketching? Confused face emoji.
No, we're doing a lesson. Shape, form, gesture, foreshortening, and then the next one is perspective. This is more accurate base. When people say your perspective's off, they're talking about the accuracy of of like 3D space. So what they're saying is you have to use the horizon line when you're making like a background or you're centering your character based on the horizon line. Now remember this, the horizon line is your friend. It's going to indicate where you're looking. So whenever say a shape like this box here and this box here is there like this, line weight is important, but it's not as important as the fundamentals that I'm mentioning. It's kind of like the last thing you have to put in, because a lot of people don't know how to do hierarchy in that sense, but it is important. But I don't really add it in. I put it like more of a bonus thing because I know that it kind of falls under some form of light theory, because if light's on a character, the side that is more darker will be thicker and the side that is more light will be thinner. That is a thing.
Jolly Incher 35 said I never could figure out the horizon line for backgrounds TBH.
I'm still trying to figure that out. Well, I haven't put enough effort into it. I'm still trying to figure out how to do color theory much better. But so like with the idea of the box here, these are just crash courses I'm giving you guys. So like the boxes here, or the 3 boxes.
Comics said very true.
The line here that we're looking at indicates to us where we're looking. So it lets us know any object that is over the line tells us we're looking up at the line, okay? Like here. But we're not looking on top of it. Anything that's under the line, we're looking at the top of it, but not the looking at the top of it, but not the bottom. Anything that's on literally the line itself, we're not looking at the top nor the bottom. We're looking directly at it. So that's what the horizon line is there for. It's there to indicate your perspective of where the object is.
Straight at the character is the perspective.
Yes, straight at the character. If the character or the object is on the horizon, we're looking directly at them. We're not looking at the top of their head. We're not looking under their crotch or anything like that. We're looking directly at them, right? So that's what indicates where everything is. I did that earlier with a dynamic pose here with this walking pose. So like here is a little trick. So whenever you're drawing a character like this one right here, you can put lines showing their dynamicism based on the line placement. So like if I put a line here and a line here indicating that the hips are going up and down, because to make a character look more dynamic, the hips are going the opposite of where the shoulders are going. And because the hips are going the opposite of the shoulders are going, it will tell me based on those placements where the horizon line is right here. So that tells me our horizon line is here. Because I can't see the top of our head, I can hardly see the top of our shoulder. I can't even see the top of her breast like that. It's just based on a particular
Ariane
distance.
Said I get how to use the perspective line, except if I want to draw a character that's laying down.
Yeah, that gets a little tricky, but it's usually a one perspective. It's a 1 point perspective most cases, depending on what you're trying to do with it. Well, it actually depends on how you're trying to form them. But if you're looking directly on top of them or something. But you can do that, and then I can see directly on her stomach. I can see the top of her hips, her knees, her feet, everything. So it's under, and it follows the rules as I mentioned. As long as the character, even though the character is on top of the line, the line tells us that the part that she passes, we can't see on top of. The part that she's under, we can see on top of. So there you go. It still falls under those rules. So that's why perspective is very important in that sense. So let me go back. The next one, based on, and it's going to make sense once I get to the end of this. So this is why I'm taking the time to explain this. So this will be more of an artsy channel. So those who are wondering whenever I'm going to do those tutorials, am I doing them? Well, you got a little bit of a tutorial peekage of that. So there you go. So perspective, what was the next one? It was, I think it was composition. Composition. I think that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Composition, and what was it? Oh my god. Oh, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The last one is proportions, but I can't remember what was the other one. Proportions. What was it? Shape, form, gesture, balance. There it is. Balance. Actually, I will put balance here. I'll put this in particular order. Forgot to do that. So that was it. It was balance. My bad. It was balance. 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 It was composition. And then last but not least, proportions. Proportions. So what these 8 indicate your art style. That's how you build and get your so-called art style. For those who bang yourself on the wall, you bang your head on the wall and keep asking, how do you get an art style? The irony of asking how you get one is doing the boring stuff. It's always the boring stuff that is the key to what you want. You gotta go to school. You gotta do boring stuff to get that degree, to get the job that you want, right? You gotta do the boring stuff. If you want to learn how, learn a language, right? You gotta do all the boring technical stuff, right? If you want to know how to do, I don't know, drawing a head, you need to look at a sorrow head. You need to look at the structure of the head, cheekbones, eyeballs, blah, blah, blah. Oh, and then this falls under the idea of anatomy as well. At the same time, because if you practice this and you apply the idea of anatomy with the proportions, because remember, proportions is just another way of saying accuracy. Perspective is another way of saying accuracy.
Visit Artextric's Ko-fi page at.
But proportions is only accuracy based on shape of a character or a monster or an animal or something like that. It's the accuracy of the anatomy of that particular character, or even a weapon. It doesn't have to be a person. It could be a thing, like the anatomy of a sword, the anatomy of a car, the anatomy of a computer. You know what I'm saying? You got your GPU, your CPU, your RAM, so your components. You know what I'm saying? This is the anatomy of these things, right? That's what proportions are. It's literally the accuracy of a object, place, and or thing. I don't want to say place. Places changes, but the accuracy of a person, a thing, a living object, or even a non-living object thing. There you go. Composition, for those who don't know what that is, it's based on placement. It's based on the idea of how to frame something. So you're framing. It's framing, think of you taking a picture and you're looking for the best angle. You're looking for the best angle. You're not looking for the best accuracy angle. You're looking what looks good, what feels good. You're not going with the perspective. You're not doing that. You're looking for you're not. The number one thing what makes great composition is, ironically, the idea of asymmetry. You get what I'm saying? Not too balanced. You don't want to have 3 birds on one side and 3 cats on one side when you're doing some form of a background thing. You want a asymmetrical type situation, like 3 birds on one side, a dog on one side, and then you have 2 people on the same side as the dog. You want a car where the birds are. You know what I'm saying? You want something that looks like it's natural. Nothing's always in perfect perspective, perfect symmetry like that, unless it's nature to a degree with the Favaducci method. For those who know what I'm talking about, but most cases everything is usually asymmetrical. There we go, asymmetrical. So that makes it more interesting. Not saying there's nothing with symmetry. I'm just saying asymmetry feels more natural because because nothing's always perfect all the time, just like humans. We're symmetric to a degree, but not totally symmetrical. Like one boob can be more bigger than the other by slightliness. One eye is a little slightly higher than the other. One nose a little bit more pushed in or something like that. Your teeth are not always all lined. You know what I'm saying? That what makes it natural, okay? So I'm not saying that symmetry doesn't exist. I'm just saying that asymmetry is mostly seen the most amongst humans, us as human beings, animals, blah, blah, blah. So there you go. But yes, so to get your so-called art style, you have to do the 8 fundamentals. And if you want to mention line weight as well, I'll put that as a bonus one. Line weight is important. Line weight hierarchy is important. But line weight isn't needed because you can still do a painting without using line weight. Okay? You don't need line weight when you're doing a painting. That's based on form and light from that point. So that's why I don't bring in the idea of line weight as a form of fundamental. If anything, is a bonus thing to me because you don't need line weight to make a great painting. You can just use any type of medium. You can use clay. You can use brushes. You can use what else? Watercolor, anything like that. So there's no form of, line weight. If you want to use pencil or pens, that's fine. But it's not like a fundamental that you have to learn because there's many ways to make a painting or make something look beautiful without using a pen. So there you go.
Wrong answer, but one of the best
I'm sorry that was much worded it was, but like I said, this will be on the art channel, so we're gonna get a little artsy here. I'm sorry.
definitions you'll find comes from one of the most successful creators in manga, Araki. In his own book, Manga in Theory and Practice, Araki explains that all great manga artists have their own clear style. He then clarifies that the key to a great art style is balancing 2 conflicting elements. Realism is obviously the pursuit of making your art imitate real life. Signification, on the other hand, aims to create instantly iconic imagery through the use of abstraction.
There! What did your teacher say? Realism. 8 fundamentals falls under your art style by using anatomy. You get the anatomy right if you use your 8 fundamentals and practice them in practice, whether individually or together, to build on the realism, to take that realism, break the rules, and take your art style to the next level. So there you go. There you go. There's your lesson for today.
Because the further you lean into one, the less
you
make use of the other.
Yes.
A great example of this was the infamous Ugly Sonic before they went back and remade the movies. Clearly, a realistic walking hedgehog would be offensively disgusting, so Paramount needed to make Sonic more abstract. It was less realistic, but it was realistic enough that Sonic retained his iconic look while still imitating a real 3D character. So, as you can see, the key to crafting a successful art style is to make your art imitate real life, while also possessing certain abstract qualities that make it instantly recognizable. Some styles lean more into realism, some into signification, but they all balance both of these 2 elements. Now, like I said, everyone finds their own balance, and all of the best manga artists have different styles. So the real question is, how is it that these artists all follow the same rule and manage to create so many different styles? Well, this is where we need to talk about the 3 steps that every artist needs to follow in order to make use of Araki's big rule. But real quick, before I do that, make sure to become a member if you're enjoying the video. You get custom badges and emojis that you can show off in our live streams, and you can pick which series I cover next. But like I was saying, there's 3 things based off of Araki's rule that every great artist does, and you need to follow every one of these steps. The first step is to stylize your art. Now, that sounds like a no-duh moment, but there's more to it. Like we mentioned, you can either make art that's realistic, or you can make art that's recognizable. So if you want a recognizable style, you need to move away from realism and make your art somewhat simple and more abstract.
Correct.
This is something that Akira Toriyama did a great job of in Dragon Ball, because the designs are fairly simple, but you can recognize an Akira Toriyama character the second you see one. The same is true for Yusuke Murata. It doesn't matter if it's Eyeshield 21 or One Punch Man. The second you see one of his characters, you know he drew it. A more recent example of this that I think is completely underrated is Dandadan. Dandadan, drawn by Yukinobu Tatsu, is by no means realistic. The world of Dandadan is very detailed, but the characters are relatively abstract. They have big eyes, round faces, and their hair is usually made up of abstract shapes. In fact, one thing Dandadan has kind of become known for is its use of chibi faces and reaction faces. For example, in this panel, one of the characters is smiling so much that their mouth is stretched all across their face. Now, is this at all realistic? No. In fact, she looks more like a turtle more than a person. But again, Tatsu isn't trying to imitate real life here. In this panel, he's expressing an abstract concept, namely smiling so much that everyone can see it on your face. Seeing this panel instantly reminds you of a time someone was so happy that they had the biggest, dumbest grin on their face. And this is what we see. A smile that is so absurdly big that we immediately recognize the character's emotion. And this is why Tatsu draws his characters with simple faces. They don't look like real faces. They look more like a bunch of shapes. But they're realistic enough that they imitate real faces, and they're simple enough that Tatsu has plenty of room to express a wider
I'm a character designer, so yes.
array of motions, like a big dumb smile. So what you lose in realism, you gain in style and expression. It makes his characters recognizable and allows for the simple expression of the characters. It's the same reason people often describe his art as clean. Clean can mean a lot of things, but when you describe art as clean, it's usually because it's polished rather than full of detail. Like Yusuke Murata's art is clean. Hiro Mashima's art is clean. Tony Valente's art in Radiant is clean. These are all talented artists that keep their style simple. As a result, they're instantly recognizable and it allows them to use more expression. That being said, stylizing your art doesn't mean making it as simple as possible. The faces in Dandadan might be simple, but the overall character designs are full of detail. In fact, Tatsu clearly has an excellent understanding of what human anatomy is supposed to look like. When you see his characters, they aren't exactly realistic, but they have plenty of detail. An important distinction that often gets overlooked by fans considering these aren't the same things. Which brings us to the second step to making a perfect art style, namely adding detail. Notice I said detail and not realism. Like we talked about before, you want to use realism in your art, but realism doesn't mean making your art look exactly like real life. It means imitating real life. One, because it will only ever be an imitation and not the real thing, but also because by drawing stylized art, you're expressing ideas about these subjects that aren't always obvious in real life. This is something that Tatsu does a great job of, but a more popular example of this would be Tite Kubo's work in Bleach. If you put a panel of Bleach next to a panel of, say, One Piece, it's easy to say Bleach looks more realistic. But when you look at Bleach out of context, it is the furthest thing from realistic. The reason it feels realistic without looking realistic is because of the way Kubo adds detail. For example, let's look at Ichigo on the cover of volume 49. Now again, compared to something like One Piece, it does look realistic. But does this look like a real person?
No.
Not even close. The eyes are too slim, the nose is like one long pyramid, the hair looks more like a spiky wig, and the jaw is like one long blade. But does this look detailed? Absolutely. The reason Bleach characters feel realistic isn't because they are realistic, but because they have a level of detail that makes them feel real. Ichigo's narrow gaze expresses his intense personality. His sharp nose and jaw give him a strong masculine look, and his spiky hair adds a sense of personality that balances out his overall reserved vibe. You also have other details like the exaggerated shading and highlights, as well as the small details on Ichigo's clothes. By adding all of these details, Kubo creates a character that is still clearly abstract, but feels real because of the expressive details. These details express certain ideas that make the character feel like a real person rather than a mess of abstract shapes. It goes back to the idea of clean art. It's one thing to have a simple art style that's easy to remember, but what's even better is when you can add details in a way that allows for even more expression. And what's even more important isn't how much detail you can jam into one picture, but rather which details you deliberately focus on. Tatsu and Kubo both draw detailed characters, but they each focus on different details. While they both draw detailed clothes and objects, Kubo really leans into the shading and leaves a lot of his backgrounds blank, and Tatsu draws simple characters but leans into the dynamic action scenes and draws heavily detailed backgrounds. So the more manga you read, the more you notice how different artists focus on different things. Which brings us to the third and final step to making a perfect art style. Once you've stylized your art and added plenty of detail, the last thing you need to make your art style perfect is to make it you. And when I say that, I mean drawing art in a way that balances stylization and realism, but also does something that only you can do. Like Araki explained, you need some realism in your art, but you also need stylization so people can recognize your art as yours. And while part of that is simplifying your art with abstract shapes, that's something that everyone can do. Like we just talked about, what makes something truly stylized is drawing it in a way that nobody has seen before. Take Hiro Mashima. A lot of people will say Mashima's characters look like One Piece characters, but you can clearly tell the difference between a One Piece character and a fairy tale character. That is because, although it feels similar, Mashima draws characters using certain stylistic choices so that they look like something you haven't quite seen. It's not a matter of originality. There's only so many ways to draw a circle, so trying to reinvent a circle doesn't mean you're a talented artist. Instead, it's a matter of personality. In other words, what can you add to the circle so that it isn't just a circle, but a circle you made? And when we're talking about personality in manga, I really don't think there's anyone that comes close to Atsushi Okubo, the creator of Soul Eater. Okubo follows the first two rules to the T. His characters are abstract and stylized, but there's also plenty of detail in his work. A great example of this is this panel of Krona. Clearly stylized and not at all realistic, but like we talked about, there's plenty of detail that expresses certain ideas. Now, when it comes to Okubo, he's good at a lot of things, but when we're talking about what makes Okubo Okubo, I think it comes down to one thing: being unhinged. There's a certain je ne sais quoi about his art. His simple, stylized characters are a major representation of that classic 2000s manga look. But even among the greats like Oda and Takei, none of these artists draw quite like Okubo does. And a big part of it is because whenever you look at the character expressions, the backgrounds, the action, whatever, it's all unhinged. And when I say unhinged, this is partly a reference to the madness. The madness is a big part of the story in Soul Eater, and its influence can be seen in the way Okubo draws just about everything. He draws with plenty of detail, but heavily leans into the abstract. For example, once you've seen Black Star and Kid's reaction to Excalibur, it's kind of hard to forget those weird faces. Once you've seen the moon from Soul Eater, you start to see it everywhere. It's an abstract representation of both the night as well as the madness that takes over the world of Soul Eater. You can also see this unhinged quality in the backgrounds of Soul Eater. You'll often see scenery with a warped sense of perspective, bending around a certain focal point rather than portrayed in a straightforward manner. Another great example of Okubo's unhinged art is the graffiti art you can find in color spreads. Granted, I'm pretty sure he doesn't do the actual graffiti and gets help from special artists. But I mean, come on. Who else do you know that makes regular use of something as abstract as graffiti and manga? He didn't invent it by any means, but he uses it so much and in such a way that it's become a part of his style. So much so that Kei Urana, the artist for Gachi Akuta who worked for Okubo, uses it in her story. Is that original? Not exactly, but it expresses a certain lineage where Okubo started the trend and Urana took it and started doing it in her own way, which is exactly what I mean when I talk about personality over originality. Okubo's art is so iconic because nobody else draws like Okubo, and the reason for that is because Okubo makes his style his own. He likes graffiti art, so he makes it a part of his own art. He has a unhinged sense of creativity, so he makes art so abstract that it literally looks insane. But that's what makes him such a great artist. He draws with his own unique brand of creativity. Too often you come across someone who draws like Toriyama or like Oda or like Horikoshi, but those people don't draw like themselves. It's easy to draw a style that's familiar because it's already done before and people know what works and what doesn't. But the difference between a good art style and a perfect art style is something that balances stylization and realism while also implementing the artist's own personality. That's why Araki can explicitly tell you exactly how to make the best art style, but nobody can draw like he can. That's why Okubo can draw something that looks so much like all the other 2000s manga, but always stands out as something only he can draw. The secret is to make it you, to draw something that only you feel, only you want to draw. It doesn't have to be completely original, but it does have to be completely yours. And that is the simple secret to making a perfect art style. But what do you think? How would you define the perfect art style? Who do you think is the best artist? Share your thoughts and see what everyone else has to say down in the comments.
Alright, that's showing Ouija. Like, subscribe, share, follow, comment. I'm done pretty much at this point. I'm going to finish the rest of this anime on my own. With that said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great night. Thank you guys for coming. Give Shonen Ouija a follow. I'll put a link in the description and all that great stuff. Thank you guys. It's 8 o'clock. I'm jumping out. Thank you guys. We was going to play more Rivals, but we might play a little later tonight and maybe more tomorrow because Instagram invited us to play and part of the gala event thing that's going on. So with that said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys. Bye-bye. Do. Boop.